Hi, welcome to All Things Cozy with Gillian,
And Matt,
a bi-weekly podcast about everything warm, soft, and comforting. This week, we're closing out our 2025-2026 season with a very appropriate topic, graduation. Although graduation is a mix of emotions for many, we're revisiting this milestone to mine the nostalgia and coziness we might have missed the first time around. But before we throw our graduation caps in the air, let's check in with Cozy in the News. I'll kick it off with a trip to Westlake, Ohio, where a gaming granny gave her daughter and local police officers a scare. The 91-year-old woman is signed up for her town's Are You OK program, which means she receives a daily call to ensure all is well. But when the call went unanswered one day this past April, worry set in. Concern intensified when the woman's daughter couldn't get a hold of her either. When cops arrived at the scene and got access inside the home via a garage, they reported back to dispatch, "We're with her now. She's playing video games in her bedroom." Like any true gamer, the senior lost track of time and the missed calls in an effort to beat her high score. Not only is the story cozy because it proves you're never too old to enjoy life's simple pleasures, but it's also comforting to know programs for seniors like the Are You OK program exist. As a gamer, I thought you'd appreciate it, Matt.
yes, I'm like intently watching the video to see the body cam footage of when they go into her house because I want to see what game she's playing. And it's so funny because it's such an intense lead up to what this is going to be. And I'm still waiting after like over a minute of like, you've been talking and I'm still watching the video. Like, get to the game. Did you ever see what game she's playing?
Journalism matters. They should have interviewed
I guess
her.
they decided that wasn't important.
Well, she didn't want to disclose her name, or I think that was referenced in one of the articles I read.
She could have given her gamer tag at least, like, so we could
You're
follow her on
right.
Twitch or something.
Yeah, I mean, we need to call the local news offices in Ohio and get the scoop.
But yeah, no, this is super funny. First of all, what a relief to know that your loved one is safe. You know,
Yes.
we've all been there, but that she was just playing video games is such a I don't know. I've been thinking about this like people who were on the ground floor of video gaming in the 80s who are now, getting up there. And it's funny to think about like retirement homes. They're going to have like PlayStations and stuff.
Yeah, you might be leading the pack.
Obviously, it's already happening, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just as common a thing to do with your time as watching a movie.
Yeah, I'm sure it passes the time for these older folks who maybe can't be as physical as they used to.
The same for me, like, half their age.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stillness, I think, in older age where time moves quickly, but also very slowly. And so I'd imagine this is a great way for her to pass the time.
It keeps your brain healthy, there's a lot of problem
Yes, that's
solving.
true. Yes, that's
Yeah, I
true.
get frustrated when I hear people claim that playing video games is like you're brain dead or like you're turning your brain off, and playing video games could not be further from that. It is an active coordination of your brain, your hand-eye coordination, the controller. There's a reason actually why professional esports players are young is because you do have to have great reaction time on your controller, and so physicality does matter to some extent, for sure. But regardless of whatever age you are, they're games and they're puzzles, and they require thinking, critical thinking, problem solving. There's so much to learn and to think about when you're playing a game, especially when you're stressed out and you're thinking of and worrying a lot. You need your brain to be doing something active to forget the worry. And TV and film, as much as I love them, unless it's very engrossing, sometimes they're not enough to keep the worries away. But games are because they really engage you.
Hmm.
So think twice before you claim that people who play video games aren't using their brains because they are using their brains more than most other forms of entertainment.
Well, that was very beautifully
Sorry I went on
said,
a
Matt.
rant.
No, I mean, I feel the same way about reality TV. I mean, the powers of human observation that you have to employ is great. Or any TV. You have to reflect on different points. You have to remember too. I mean, if you're catching up with plot points, that is an active memory utilization, especially if it's a weekly program. I know I sound old. A program, tuning in for my programs.
Watching my serials.
Or yeah, well, soap operas too. I think soap operas require a lot of memorization that would keep a brain sharp. There's lots to remember with those.
100%. Yeah, I agree. I think honestly, anytime anyone's watching something that is over 60 seconds, watching or listening or doing, we're winning.
Well, speaking of winning, you have a story that involves a great battle with a very special winner.
Yes. Ready or not, here comes Mama. Mama, a cat and resident of Pico Rivera, California, who bravely fought off a coyote all on her own before escaping to the safety of a tree in her front yard. The footage, shared by KTLA, which is much better footage than this body cam footage from this other source that you found because it shows the entire event. The links to these stories are in our show notes, by the way. Basically, the episode description, wherever you listen to the show. That footage was shared by the cat's owner, Debbie, who watched the doorbell footage and was, quote, in shock. It took me a while to see, is that our cat or somebody else's? And no, it's our cat. And if you watch the video, you'll see this brave little kitty stand off with a coyote, arch its back, hop forward a little bit, look threatening, and then decide when it was time to turn tail and run and for the safety of the tree. But, it's not a lot of cats that can face off with a coyote and live to tell the tale. And while we hope Mama and more of the house cats in the community spend their days safely indoors, it's good to know that it isn't just roadrunners that can defeat a wily coyote.
Hats off to Mama, and I love the name Mama for a cat. It's really funny. But
Yeah,
yeah,
she had 2 litters, so
oh,
she
wow.
she is a mama.
Oh, she is a mama. Yeah, well, I mean, she has lots to live for.
She's out on those streets fighting coyotes, so, she's seen
Yeah.
things.
I love this kind of footage. I think my favorite cat fighting off something video was this cat, I think also in California, and the cat won an award, and it was this cat's sibling, would you call it? I mean, the little boy who she lives with was out riding his trike, and a rabid dog came and pulled him off and started biting him, and the cat ran over and scared the dog and kept on going and chasing and was relentless, and they have it on video. It's one of my favorite videos because that cat just comes in to save the day, knows that's a special person, did everything to protect that little boy. I thought it was so sweet.
That is so sweet. That's an even cozier story. I should have picked that one. But this one's more hot off the presses,
Yeah,
but
that was a very old story. This is very hot off the presses, and it's very timely because the coyotes are out in full force in Los Angeles, and sometimes I feel really bad for the coyotes because all they want to do is just exist in the world, and it's their space too, and they need to eat and all this stuff, but having a dog, it does scare me, and at 5 a.m., we're woken up. It sounded like they were in the room with us howling, yippee, making the most craziest noises you could ever imagine, and it's so eerie, but it's also this cozy eeriness too. It feels like you're out camping somewhere, you're
yeah,
on
for sure,
vacation.
yeah. I get that completely. I feel the same way. I know pet owners should be very vigilant against the coyotes, but we really are on their turf,
Yes.
and they are beautiful creatures. I'll never forget there was one day during the pandemic when we were walking in, I think that it was Bronson Canyon. We were looking up on the hillside, like right next to the path, and I saw one set of ears, and I was like, "Oh, it's a sleeping coyote." Because they blend in so well with the California dry brush. Sometimes it's hard to see them against that because they're the same color as the dirt, very well camouflaged. And I saw it and I was like, wait a minute, there's 20 of them. And truly, like, it felt like a magic eye painting where, like, it snapped into focus. And all of a sudden, I noticed all the coyotes that were sleeping on the hill. It wasn't just one, it was the whole pack. And we were all curled up tight into this little ball with their big ears
Aw.
popping out on top of that. It was a really cool sight to behold. So we love our coyotes, but we also love our mamas who are ready to throw down and protect their turf.
Absolutely. Now that we're caught up with the news, let's rewind the clock back to the first graduation ceremony in 1642 when just 9 seniors graduated from Harvard. As educational institutions blossomed, so did the ceremonies, and in 1813, the college handed out its first diplomas. But of course, what would graduations be without classic caps and gowns? Taking inspiration from medieval Europe, the uniform underwent many changes throughout the years, most notably in 1959 when the American Council on Education met to update color recommendations, allowing for lighter shades of robes, including gray. They also permitted women to wear softer fitting caps. From the 60s onward, the concept of a graduation became less of a formal acknowledgement of one's education and more of an emotional milestone marked by celebration. Graduation is commercialized and sold as a rite of passage that defines lives and has become as transitional as ringing in the new year. As with anything charged with anticipation, graduation can bring up a rainbow of emotions, and many TV shows, movies, and music have tried to capture the elusive feeling to the question, what does it all mean? We're not sure about all of that, but we do know there are many threads of coziness within this tradition, which we'll discuss against the backdrop of our own experiences, as well as the songs and TV shows that remind us of this special time. But Matt, before I ask you to sign my yearbook, let's dive into some questions. We've been through years of graduations for ourselves and others. So, Matt, what makes a graduation cozy to you?
The people, especially that mixture of friends and family, those worlds colliding between friends and family who maybe have never met. Also, that kind of tour that you go on, like, especially in high school. I don't know if you had this experience, Jillian, but going to your other friends' graduation parties and getting to meet their family as well. It was so fun to like get to meet, oh, that's my best friend's uncle, and like all these other family members that you never knew were in the picture. And you get like a full sense of your friends' lives actually because of events like graduation when that bring their whole family together and their friends. I just think it's such a special moment, a threshold that you walk through, and people show up for that. I really think that's cozy, that community coming together, all these different people who care about you. I honestly, it's those sorts of parties that are overwhelming for me because it makes me almost too emotional to even be there. I really cherish all the memories of my graduation parties with all my different aunts and uncles and grandparents and my friends all being in one place. It's almost like the next best thing to a wedding you can get. It's a great opportunity to bring those people together.
Yeah, and it's a good point because not often do extended relatives get together in general, at least not in my experience. And 'cause I think I have a smaller family. And now that my sister's married and he's from a big Italian family, they get together all the time and have massive blowouts all the time. But when you're in a smaller family, those events are not so often. But when there are those events, people come out and it's like you said, it's either weddings, graduations, christenings, whatever it might be. And so when you really think about your life, there's only so many times that extended relatives get together. It's not very often, depending on your family size. So if you have a smaller family, I think you cherish those moments a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. That was my situation growing up, and even just getting your different parent sides of the family together. A lot of times you're splitting that time, but when it's about your nuclear family and then they all come to you, you get that collide that you don't really get again until there's a wedding or something. So, cool experience. How about you, Jillian? Like, what makes a graduation cozy for you?
It's the excitement of moving on to something new. It's like the first day of school. It's just a reset. Like every graduation feels like a chance to start again, or there's something to look forward to on the other side. It's the comfort of the seasons. It's like a clear marker of a beginning and an end. And when you get farther into life, you'll realize there's a lot less of those beginnings and ends. Or if they are existing, some of them aren't necessarily so positive. Not to get dark. So I like those definitions of time. When you have an ending to something, it forces you to get into the spirit of cultivating a new beginning or what am I going to do next? You rethink your life. Where you headed? Obviously, not in your middle school graduation. You're not thinking about those bigger life questions, but especially when you're graduating from high school, you're really trying to define who you are. And I think we should do that throughout our lives. But without those anchors, it's hard to do on a regular basis or as much as we would like to, or as often as we'd like to.
Yes, I agree. It is so unfortunately few and far between those experiences where you get that clear, I accomplished something. Also, it's like the acknowledgement is so clear as well. Like it's external validation that you don't often get. That's so concrete. And even that fact is very helpful. I finished something. It's done. It's over and I've accomplished it. Other life goals are gradual. Other professional things that happen, they can happen suddenly or really slowly over time, but rarely is someone, handing you a piece of paper saying, Jillian, you did the best job. This job is over now. It's been completed, right? You have to figure that out for yourself when that thing is over or it's time to transition. And there's a lot of doubt and uncertainty, but there's nothing uncertain about graduation. Like you are certainly done. And in that way, too, it's almost like a forced push. And there's something almost like lovingly firm about that. You can't stay here anymore. You're done.
Closing
Keep
time.
it moving. I think that little gentle nudge keeps us evolving and it keeps us growing. That can be very bittersweet, but it's to our betterment.
Yeah, and maybe graduations are just a big training camp for you to graduate yourself on your own.
Yeah. Help you see when it's time, like, okay, I think I finished this chapter. Time to move on.
Yeah. Well, graduations can be sweet and special for all the reasons that we just described, but they can also be complicated. They can come with a mix of emotions, whether it's stressful or it could even bring up feelings of regret. So, if you could celebrate that sort of transition any way you wanted today, what would that look like? Or what would you have done differently?
I still really cherished like the joint family and friend shindigs that were thrown for my graduation party. So I don't even know that I would want it any other way than what I had, which is like friends and family present for a party. I guess maybe some slight addendums I would do. And this is, I think, part of just being young, where like when my friends are at the party, I'm focusing on them. I'm also like filtering things through their lens, like way too much at that age and worried about what they're thinking. And I might be neglecting my family a little bit because the friends are kind of like the people I'm trying to impress the most. And so I wish I could go back and like spread my time out a little bit more. And in terms of like ways to celebrate differently, I might even want to celebrate in ways that got people mixed up in talking versus kind of sitting in their own pre-fixed group of like, well, I'm with these people because I know them already. So like having more games, I don't know, like a giant Jenga set would go a long way. Like getting people interacting that maybe wouldn't otherwise interact would be something I'm thinking about. Yard games, I guess, is like something I might want to add to a party that I'm throwing. That's one thought that I would have for like how I'd revise it. But otherwise, like I do just like the party, the friends and family getting together to celebrate. Keep it
Yeah,
classic.
I'm totally there with you. I had this defining moment. And there's some like random memories. I talked about this before. They just stick out in your mind and you don't know why, and they're just there. And I distinctly remember it, like, standing on the deck of my childhood home. And I stayed for most of my graduation party in high school, but then I left it maybe 60% in. It was getting toward nighttime. And I remember my grandma, they were about to bring out the cake. And I was like, "Oh, I'm leaving." And I remember my grandma's voice of shock, and she was just so floored that I was leaving my own graduation party because, of course, I had other parties to attend that my friends were throwing, and that was just such a big priority for me to go graduation party hopping. And now looking back, I'm like, wow, how I would say like how ungrateful because you're a teenager and you really have to have compassion for yourself when you're a teenager. Your brain's not fully formed. Like you said, Matt, your focus is on your friends. That's a natural way to be as a teenager. But it's really hard to look back at when you're an adult, especially since certain people aren't here anymore. And it's like, man, I just wish I stayed for the cake. And I think that's just a theme for throughout life. That phrase, like, I wish I stayed for the cake.
Stay for the cake.
Yeah. In so many aspects, it's so applicable. But you only realize that in hindsight, and that's I think the experience for every adult. You just wish that you spent more time with the people that you didn't have enough time to spend with because your friends will be there. I mean, if you're lucky enough to have everyone in your life remain and you have more time, you can make up that time. But there are certain people you won't be able to. And that's important to think about.
I agree. It's, again, a lesson you learn later in life, unfortunately. And it's just kind of in the nature of being young. But you're making me remember that my aunt, who passed away, filmed my graduation and the party afterwards and like all the pictures we took outside the house and everything. And I'm wondering right now, for the first time in many, many years, where is that video?
Yeah, I like to see it.
Yeah, she was always the videographer of all the family events, and I'm like, "Where did all that go?" So I'm gonna do some investigating after we finish this recording to find Matt's long lost graduation video. But yeah, did you have any events filmed, like home video moments?
I'm not sure about the graduation. I have to think about that, but oh yeah, like all throughout my childhood, there's so many. My mom really wants to put it on, I have to say DVDs, but that's even dated. Somewhere from VHS to something. Because we had an old VHS player at home, and so she would just spend her evenings watching them over and over and over again. Whether it's like little skits my sisters and I would put on, or just general things. They were filming all the time. So I'm lucky enough to have that. To even hear your voice when you're young, that everyone's lucky to even remember what they sounded like when they were young. So it is really like a privilege to have that. I think my mom has it all. And we have lots of photos too. But I think as we got older, obviously we're videoing things like that.
No, it definitely. I mean, my parents' old wedding video resurfaced and like got digitized recently. And it made me so emotional watching it because it's like,
Mm.
oh wow, like I forgot what some people sounded like.
Mhm.
And hearing their voices again was overwhelming. I'm gonna say one more old person thing and then we can move on. But it's like when we didn't have smartphones and everyone didn't have a camera in their pocket, when someone would be taping a family event, even if it was digital video, like in the late 90s or whatever, where you could technically, like, rewatch it on a tiny little flip screen or something, but it would look really small and be uncomfortable to do. Because of that, you would just exist, and then you'd see someone was filming, and you wouldn't necessarily you might play to it for a second, but you capture so much natural interaction because no one will be tempted to, like, be like, "Okay, let me see what you just filmed. Show me what you're filming," and there's not that immediate self-correction or knowledge that you're being recorded all the time. Looking back at that old footage, the lack of acknowledging the camera, even though the camera was a much more unusual object in the space than it is now.
Yeah, that's a really interesting observation because I think it's the last records we have of people being actually present. So everyone's just so hyper aware of what's going on around them, and everyone has a phone there. Everyone has it out filming. So you always feel like you're on display in a lot of ways. Yeah, I would feel the same way as you, being super emotional watching those old videos. Cozy, but also just a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Switching gears from happy and emotional memories, we need a soundtrack to that. Vitamin C's graduation was everywhere when I graduated from middle school, could not escape it. But if you could choose any song, Matt, to soundtrack your graduation highlights reel, what would it be?
Alright, so everyone knows about the Green Day "Good Riddance" song that honestly was so everywhere for a long time, and then I almost miss it now because it sounds like a retro kind of nostalgic song, and when I was preparing for this episode, I was going through all of those songs, including Vitamin C's graduation song, which is incredible. It's a masterpiece, and the Green Day song, but my absolute favorite graduation track, and the one that made me tear up in the moment of my graduation and just, like, felt like it got what it was like to be a millennial graduating from high school at the time, was Eve Six's "Here's to the Night." Are you familiar with the song, Julian?
Yes,
Okay,
classic.
yeah, it's a classic, and even the music video for it, most quintessential 2000s fashion is happening in it. I believe the song came out in 1999, and it's a home video style music video, and it's like this nostalgic last party and everything where these friends are hanging out or not saying the things they wish they had said the whole time or whatever. These like last moments of friendship and people that you might not see again when you go to college or move. Graduation is bittersweet. It is like, yes, you are starting something fresh. And I think the song acknowledges that. Yes, you are starting something fresh and that's exciting, but like it's so hard to leave behind these people and things you care about. Like you're also losing something too.
I think that's a great pick that gets overlooked because, vitamin C is just dominating everything.
She's an essential part of our diet.
Yes. I need to watch the music video for Here's to the Night. I don't think that I've seen it before, and I love looking back at old music videos. I miss
Yeah,
music videos.
me too. They still exist. People still make them. Actually, YouTube has kind of brought back the music video because people just watch anything on YouTube. And so music videos actually have a place that they didn't have for a while. Dive back in, Jillian. You'll be surprised. Like,
Yeah, like I
they're
do.
making music videos still. So I think this song, like, Here's to the Night, Tomorrow is Going to Come Too Soon. And I think this is that song, like we said it over and over again, be present. And I think this song is like all about that. Let's be present and try to like feel this moment for one last time because it's going to be the last time we're all together.
Yeah, and it's funny too writing these lyrics in your friends' yearbooks and whatnot because it's like, man, you don't know what these mean. These words mean, you know? It's like tomorrow comes too soon. Oh, let me tell you, it really does. Anyway,
Jillian, what's on your quintessential graduation playlist?
Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield from 2004. So this was about 3 years before I graduated from high school, but it feels very appropriate for when I graduated because The Hills was such a big thing, and this was the theme song to The Hills, and we watched Laguna Beach graduate from high school. I believe they came in their senior year. So Lauren Conrad, all those folks, they went through the whole college process, and I remember thinking, just how cool it was, them going to visit colleges, and they got to leave, and then we go to the hills, it's like their new cool life that they're living, so it was all very aspirational, and this song is so early 2000s. "This is what life is, man." You know, "Feel the rain on your skin, live your life with arms wide open, today's where your book begins."
It's so
You know?
optimistic. It's
Yeah.
about that fresh start. I think it says a lot that, like, when we were talking about what makes graduation cozy to you, I'm like, "Oh, the people, I'm gonna miss them, and they're here together for the last time," and that reflects my song, and then you're like, "The fresh start, baby, get me out of here. It's unwritten. The road dog G is she's you're already in the car."
That's such a keen observation, so funny. Yeah, our songs match our sentiments. Yeah, I was ready to get in my convertible. Yeah, drive off into the
See you never,
sunset.
losers.
Well, and that music video is a doozy. Lots of rain on one's skin. And I guess that rain was really big in this era. Hilary Duff, not to always bring her up, but she also has the "Let the Rain Fall." That was a huge song. That was the Laguna
Mhm.
Beach theme song. So not to
Yeah,
get
and then not
into
too
the
long after that, we have Rihanna's Umbrella.
yeah, lots of rain. Well, when it's raining outside, Matt, we can be cozy inside watching some cozy TV episodes on the topic of graduation. And of course, Hollywood has covered this so many times in many different ways. So, Matt, what hits home for you?
If you're gonna, like, watch an episode of TV and really get that graduation sense, I would recommend Buffy the Vampire Slayer. In particular, season 3, the last episodes of that season, Graduation Day Part 1 and Part 2. These final 2 episodes, the finale of season 3, which aired on May 18th, 1999, and Graduation Day Part 2, which aired in July 1999. I can't believe people had to wait a whole month or 2 months to get that part 2, like, what a tease. And ask the question, like, what if you didn't just graduate, but defeated a demonic mayor and blew up your school on the same day? Jillian would be all for that. "Blow up the school, let it burn, I'm out of here." But I think what's great about these 2 episodes together is that they give you the full range of that graduation experience, of the nostalgia. There's a funny moment with the first episode begins where Willow's getting her yearbook signed by this girl, and they're having kind of a cordial exchange, and then Buffy comes up and it was like, "Didn't she mercilessly bully you?" And Willow's like, "Yeah, but I'm gonna miss everything." And she's just sort of like already nostalgic, even for the bad things. And so there's the nostalgic feelings, this fear of losing something and disconnecting from people you care about. But then there's also like this excitement for what's fresh. Like, we're going to college. Buffy's going to college. So like, what's that going to look like? But heavy on the loss too of like, we're not going to see Sunnydale High anymore. And really, you're not going to, because it's going to explode by the end of the episode. Overall, this episode takes the idea of culmination to an all new level. Like I said, it captures that complex swirl of emotions after surviving high school, and these people are literally surviving high school. Like, there are knife fights in these episodes, like arrows being shot in the heart. There's a lot of fight scenes. It's Buffy, okay? There's vampires, there's demons, there's a lot going on. But it also gets the small things right, like teachers doing literally nothing with their senior classes in those final days of the school year. There's like a teacher who's like giving a stern lecture, and it turns out he's just being a jerk about that game of hangman that he's leading in his class. And so I just think it's such a wonderful mix of this crazy high stakes action around the end of the world and this demonic mayor, but also the core emotionality of what's gonna happen to this group of friends, what's gonna happen when we end this journey in high school. And in a way, it's like the show itself was graduating because it was losing its setting. There's this meta element of the show itself graduating to college. It's more authentically a graduation episode than most other things because it's not just depicting one, it is one.
That's really interesting. It's like that it's the huge payoff you've waited for,
Right.
and it's also a huge payoff for the characters and their transition. And like you said, it's this juxtaposition of the fantastical against the mundane, because the end of the senior year gets so mundane and boring and slow. So to have that against so much action, like you said, makes for a really great episode.
100%. I really enjoyed rewatching it. It delivered on every level. It was thrilling, it was action-packed, it was full of emotion. I can't believe how much value they were stuffing into TV. Every scene was some fresh new twist and layer and great economy of screen time. Like, a lot's going on in these episodes.
That's a really good pick, and I don't want anyone to slay me, but I've never seen an episode of Buffy. I may need to start.
I would recommend it. I think you'd like it a lot, actually.
Yeah.
It's a great mix of comedy and action and drama. I think you'd really love the drama.
Okay. I will That's my summer show because last summer I watched Big Love, so I can move on from polygamy to something else.
There's quite a bit of banter that is Gilmore Girls-esque. It's not as fast and quippy, but it's there.
Well, actually, that's a good transition because my episode is from Gilmore Girls. I was also going to talk about Boy Meets World, but upon rewatching it, it just made me angry. Not for spoiler alert, but Topanga decides to not go to Yale and proposes to Corey. I did not remember that aspect. I just was remembering the Mr. Feeney of it all and how he was moving on and graduating himself because he was moving on from the school to a new chapter. And I love Mr. Feeney. And there's a lot of good emotions mixed in and reflections on high school. But when Topanga gave away her valedictorian speech to Sean, which was a sweet gesture that I thought when I was younger, but now looking back on it, it's like, why didn't she speak? Not to go on a rant, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to talk about it as I'm
Go
talking about
off.
it.
As you're saying it, I'm so angry that they chose to write this way. Like, what a way to give every moment that she earned to these guys in her life who didn't earn any of it.
And Sean's speech, too, was terrible. He was like, oh, I wish I had done more. Okay. It wasn't even some really moving emotional speech. And when I was younger, I had fondness for this episode, and it aired in 1998. It was season 5, episode 24. But now, as an adult, rewatching it through a new lens, I was like, oh, what a sweet gesture from a friend. Is now I'm looking at it and saying, yeah, why did she give up her speech just so easily? And why was Corey kind of being weird about her getting accepted into Yale? And then she just proposes at the end? It made me really mad. But pivoting to something that doesn't make me mad, Gilmore Girls, Lorelai's graduation, which aired on May 14th, 2002. It's from the second season, episode 21. And this is a unique take on the classic graduation episode because Lorelai is in her 30s at the time of graduation. She goes back to community college and she has mixed feelings about it because she's still struggling with the shame and regret for missing her first graduation for obvious reasons. But Rory gets her excited and pumped up about it and really has Lorelai feeling special about this time and promises to really celebrate her, and they decide where they're going to go to dinner. And it's one of the few times where Lorelai is celebrating herself in the context of formal education, because education is always a little touchy with her. And she didn't want her parents to come to the ceremony because she felt as if they were still disappointed in the fact that she didn't graduate from high school and also college the first time around. But Rory invites them in secret. And of course, Lorelai's mom, Emily, comes to the graduation with a whole camera crew and then embarrasses Lorelai because her friends think she's a rich snob and all this stuff. And Rory misses her graduation. It's a whole nother story I won't get into. Everyone knows the gist of it all. Okay. So it's insult to injury. But the huge payoff and what makes this episode so sweet and emotional for me personally is that Lorelai is so stressed, upset, annoyed. But then when she walks across that stage, she sees her parents well up with emotion, seeing her pose in her cap and gown, and Lorelai also shares in that emotion, and she wells up too. And the episode, well, before it transitions to a big fight between Lorelai and Rory, it's a very sweet, defining moment, and I think it's a good reminder that it's never too late to have your full circle moment. You can go back and get that diploma if that's something you really want. It's never too late to celebrate yourself. You deserve to be celebrated. There's healing from that. It just felt really amazing to see her validated, even though she was down on herself because she thought it was a moment not worthy of celebration. And it doesn't matter how small anything is, it's still important. And it's an achievement. I really like that episode for those reasons.
Really well stated. I feel like I just experienced all the emotions of watching it. It's so rich with character interactions and again bringing together those friends and families and those chaotic moments that graduations can happen that can occur within a graduation. And also what I love about you bringing up this episode is that it also highlights an adult graduation. It's not just always the
Yes.
kids or the young folks. You know, you can graduate at any age. There's a lot of different milestones and there's no time limit on your education. And I love that this episode highlights that.
Yeah, I think we both picked great episodes, and thank you for inspiring me to watch Buffy this summer.
Yes, it's gonna slay.
It's gonna, yes, I'll be slayed. I might not even be here for the next season. I'm gonna be slayed so much. Kind of into little. Sorry, that's not the best analogy I've ever made. But anyway, now that we've reminisced and crossed the stage to accept our diplomas in coziness, let's take a whiff of this week's candle before we ride off into our next chapter. And I have the candle this week, and it's Good Chemistry's Coconut and Chill, 5 ounces at $10.99. And I chose this one because it reminded me of vacation, and we're going off on our own vacation right now. And the chill seemed very young folks to me. So like, okay, we're young folks graduating, ready to hang out with our coconuts and chill. So it felt very
The plus
appropriate.
chill is a little bit 10 years old at this point, but yeah. Those youngins from 2014.
I'm dating myself. Anyway, the fragrance notes for dreamy Isle vibe wrapped in cool, creamy coconut, citrus zest, coconut, tonka bean, vanilla, and essential oil of orange. And I will admit, I had originally picked an Anthropology candle, and Matt, you might have spotted it at my house. It has little ice cream cones on it. It's a blown glass candle, and it's a vanilla shake, and it had little ice cream cones. So I was like, oh, that's so cute, adorable for summer. I'm going to choose that candle. But then I just realized, okay, it just has ice cream cones on it. That's not necessarily the connection I want to make. And so then I will admit, I saw this in Sprouts, and I needed a new candle. And I'm always a little bit hesitant with grocery store candles, but this one really knocked my socks off. It smells like when you're on a tropical vacation or any hotel that's geared toward relaxation or whatever it might be. And maybe you come back to a freshly clean room. This is the scent. Or when you first check into the hotel room, it's just this beautiful vacation scent that lingers. And I put this on one day in our bedroom, and then I left it, kept it on, and then I blew it out, and then when I came back to go to sleep, the scent was still there. And I
It's a great
got into
sign.
my comfy bed, and it felt as if I was on vacation. It was lovely. The coconut isn't too strong because I know coconut candles, just like vanilla, coconut can be overpowering in one note. This is not the case. I can really smell that orange and the citrus aspect of it, but also the vanilla, literally all the scents I can smell. And it comes into this one beautiful scent. If you can't take a vacation this year, this candle will take you there. And for 5 ounces, it lingers, which is really great. I love it.
That's fantastic. Sounds like it's a wick up.
It's a wick up. It's absolutely a wick up. So Good Chemistry. I'm going to try that brand more. It's in Sprouts. They also sell it at other websites. If you just search for Good Chemistry, one of the websites I linked to, Lenny's Nest. So it's not only at Sprouts, but I happen to spy it at Sprouts.
It's sprouting up.
Yeah.
Does it smell like sunscreen at all? Does it give that vibe of like that really fragrant vacation sunscreen, or is it something totally different?
That's a really good question. And no, it's not the sunscreeny vibe. It's just if you're on the beach with a lot of flowers or maybe fruitful foliage, that makes sense. And then there's a breeze in the air and it comes by. Or it's this beautifully crafted cocktail that you're sipping on the beach that has a beautiful scent.
That's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a step up from what I was thinking.
Oh, no. No, no. This is not your classic sunscreeny, "Oh my god, we're at the beach. We're at on the side of the pool. We're all tired and sunburned." It's not that. It's like a luxury tropical vacation scent for $10.99.
You can't get a better deal than that.
No, you can't. Well, how could we say goodbye to this season without one last listener shout out? Let's take a peek at what they wrote in our yearbook. And this shout out comes from Ava Noel Smith, and this is on Spotify. Ava writes, listening to all the spring episodes to feel cozy in the warmer weather. Love you guys. Been telling all my friends about the podcast. Thank you so much for spreading the word and taking the time to write a review.
Thank you for spreading the word. We're all about to enjoy the warmer weather. Looking forward to that very much. And it's a great time to spread the word in our cozy podcasting community. Let people know you can find us at All Things Cozy Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And it's never been more important, if you are on social media, to follow us, because this is our last episode of our season. We're wrapping up season 9. We're graduating to season 10. We're throwing our books out on the lawn, running into the future. But before we do, just thank you everyone for your support this season, for listening. Thank you all the patrons for supporting our show, for showing up to our book club with all your insightful comments and your funny banter. We appreciate every single one of you who listen. Anyone who's hearing my voice right now, you are appreciated. And yeah, we're heading off to our annual summer hiatus where we hibernate. Spread the word while we're on vacation. You know, our social media remains active during this time. So you can check us out at All Things Cozy Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. We definitely check in periodically. And it's really important, if you do have those social media channels in your life, do give us a follow, because that's going to be your heads up that our show is coming back in the fall. So make sure you follow us to get that heads up for when we're ready to come back with more cozy episodes. Also, if you are interested, you can even join our Patreon at patreon.com/allthingscozy at a free level, just to get the updates. It'll just let you know when the episodes come out. It'll give you the important public updates that we put out on Patreon. You don't have to pay in, but if you do, of course, you can also access those rewards. But now is kind of not the time. Save that for when we come back in the fall so that you can take full advantage of the rewards. That we're going to have some very special things for you when we come back. But again, thank you all for listening. We really appreciate every single one of you.
Yeah, I just want to say that couldn't say anything better than Matt, but I will really miss everyone over the summer. I always do, but I'm very quick to respond to Instagram messages, and I love hearing from everyone, the Facebook group, and just knowing that you're all still here being cozy with us keeps us going and makes the summer extra special. And maybe, who knows, I will do the week of cozy summer challenges, even if it's all by myself. Who knows?
And it usually is, because
It usually
at this
is.
point, I'm totally off social media. So Gillian's out there. She's repping us. I'll pop in from time to time. Thank you again all for listening and for, all of your support and for your comments and your reviews. And keep them coming. We'll be back to read them when we return in the fall. Also, congratulations to the class of 2026, the real graduates this year. Congratulations to you. And yeah, be on the lookout, follow us, be ready for our big return, our dramatic return for season 10 in the fall. But until then,
Stay cozy.